If you could guide or give words of wisdom as to wrap up all this whole interview regarding the monarch and anything that you wish to say to the people, to our listeners before we wrap up.
Yes. No, thank you very much indeed. I will take some words from the good book. If you turn to Job 32, verses 2 and 3, they say, the Almighty comes as a spirit into human beings and gives them wisdom. One does not get wisdom by just being old or with the passage of time. It is imparted to you. So even a young man can be wiser than an old man. I use these words particularly for our country to say we have a vibrant youth, both within and without, externally in the country. A knowledgeable youth, a wise youth. There are many elderly people who are still in positions of authority, who do not have the same caliber of wisdom as the youth. It is honorable, it is right that they give way to the younger ones, who can make this country what it should be. I would like you to hold on to those words, because I feel that we have come to those crossroads.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Craig Nube, host of Asikhulumelephezulu. We welcoming you today on our show. From the previous interview, I'm trying to speak a very, very prestigious man, Chief Khayisa Ndiweni, and also part of the Crown Council, the leader of the Crown Council, if I may say. Right. Usually, as we usually do, Asikhulumelephezulu, maspetches in Donazagiti, we wish and like them Gutibe is so that the people there might learn from it.
Yes, that's no problem at all there. Thank you very much to be invited here. Izithakazelo zethu thina ngapha umdladla sithi umdladla umkheswa unjola umdladla odla amandla akhe ulodunga kandaba uthwala besabe izizwe lezizwane imputhi yamahlathi amaleba omfula yithi thina umdladla sijula kakhulu ngoba sivela khonale kwaZulu emfuleni okuthiwa usuthukazi.
Thank you. Today we'll be discussing about getting the update of the inauguration of Bulelani Khumalo as the dead king since his grandfather Lopengula. So we would like to get an update from you as this was done on the 29th of September, if I'm not mistaken. We would like to get the full update as the ceremony was done, as it was made a private ceremony, and that raised a few concerns. So that is what we would like to be updated about.
Yes, no, that's great. I'm well aware, obviously, that there was a lot of conversations, a lot of talks about it. So really, the updates from the 3rd of March, whereby our ceremony was cancelled, legal proceedings were brought in, and all sorts of issues came in. We really, as traditional leaders, were faced with the problem how to proceed with this matter. Likewise, the royal household, the Khumalos, were also faced with a similar problem of how to proceed. Because really, as far as we were looking at the matter, it was an issue of cultural significance. This was it was always meant to be a two-staged process. The first stage, we jealously guarded it. It was ours. It is ours, just like any single chief in Ndabazinduna. When they are crowned a chief, the first phase of that, it belongs to the family, it belongs to the clan. Government does not come into it, government has no say in it. So we're taking it from that remit to say, especially when we're looking at Isilo, to crown a king, it is a private thing. It is done by the clan, it is done by everything. So the week ending the 29th of September 2018, the Khumalo clan got together at a particular location in Zimbabwe. That location will be disclosed at some future date for historical significance. But because of the pulling there and there, people trying to pluck out laws that do not exist in the constitution, we felt it necessary to say the Khumalo clan must complete the cultural aspect of this coronation.
Just to ask as you speak about the Khumalos, because there were questions that were raised by people that are all the Khumalo houses in support of what has happened?
The long and short of it is yes, because during that week of cultural ceremonies and the likes, all 5 houses of the Khumalos had representation. It's the same representation that was involved right at the outset when we first announced the name of the Crown Prince. All Khumalo houses there were also represented within those discussions, within those deliberations. Fair enough, because this time round it was a secret event, we could not broadcast it, we could not make it very wide, and not all the chiefs, really most of the chiefs were not aware of it. The Crown Council was not aware of it. It was a private entity, it was meant to be private, so that it is done that way around. So the week leading up to that whole process there, they spent a whole week there at that particular location in Zimbabwe to complete the crowning ceremony, because we were very specific to say that this ceremony must not and should not and cannot be done away from the ancestral home that has become our location there. It could not be done in South Africa, it could not be done anywhere. It had to be done within Zimbabwe, within our area. So that was completed, and on the Friday of the 28th of September, at precisely 6:15 in the evening, it was completed. And historically, that means from that date and that time, there now is a monarchy in Zimbabwe.
Right, as you promised last time that the king as soon as. However, that raised a few questions as to, like previously, if anything happens with surrounding the monarch or the king or the crown prince, the council or the spokesman that was officially introduced to the people would issue out a statement. But as to this inauguration, there was no statement from the king's spokesman. So some will say that if there's now division among the council, would you like to clear that for us?
Yes, by all means I can do so. The reason why it didn't go and follow that format was twofold, or possibly threefold. The first fold was that in the legal proceedings in the High Court, the Crown Council, our spokesman for the Crown Council, F. Ngube, and the chairman of the Crown Council, Chief Matema, they were specifically identified in those legal papers. They were specifically identified in the legal papers that were instigated by his reader, Peter Khumalo. So they came on that particular level. So clearly they could not have a hand, even though this was a private ceremony, clearly they all could not have a hand in that, because otherwise then they'll be going into the arena of contempt of court, contempt of High Court, and all those things coming in. So we're taking a legal avenue to say, well, in that case, let us put them to the side so that at least we proceed and we facilitate this whole ceremony. And likewise also, the overt members of the Crown Council were also not involved on purpose so that we could facilitate this whole thing. Because let us be very clear, ladies and gentlemen, here there has been a tug of war. a tug of war whereby some of us who are traditionally inclined to our customs and traditions and the likes, have passionately wanted this monarchy. What we have found offensive is that even though this monarchy does not impinge upon others, but they have taken it upon themselves to deny us what is ours. I would not seek to do that kind of conduct if someone in Zambezi Valley, in Plumtree, in Beringwa, wherever, if they so deemed and so saw that in their culture and their customs and traditions, they too had a monarchy, I, as a chief, would be the first one to support them. Because my job description, the first few lines, if you read the Traditional Leaders Act, it instructs me legally in Zimbabwe to maintain, to protect the customs, traditions, practices, and norms of the indigenous people. This issue that we are talking falls right within that. It is protecting those very ideals. So that is why we took the route that we did. Yes, people would say, well, yes, all the chiefs were not involved, Crown Council was not involved, all those things were not involved. Yes, they were not involved on purpose because we engaged in a, shall we say, a pseudo or fake legal action in the High Court, which has no prospects of success whatsoever, but was put in there as a spoiler. So we have to go along with that spoiler thing. But having completed this private inauguration, coronation of the monarchy, it does not stop there, because that is only the first step. We will do a massive celebration and an unveiling of the monarchy quite soon. Location will be determined. But also, in addition to that, there will also be a massive inauguration and unveiling of the monarchy when the monarchy comes to Bulawayo.
So will he be coming permanently then?
Yes.
Right.
So it is not a case that it has been done secretly, it's over. No. This is a question of needs must. We're in a different time frame, a different zone, a different everything. This is 2018. We have to do it. For us, we're saying we're doing it irrespectively, without any authority being sought from anyone else. It is our right to come in. Going into Sindebele, I'll be saying, Bulelani ungena ngenkani. Ungena ngenkani. This praise name, which will be his, is a praise name that follows his ancestors. Umashobana wala udla inyama kuBulawayo, wala udla umlenze kuBulawayo. So these are the praise names that any monarchy from our part of the world gets when they come in. What is it that this individual, what have they done to warrant the crown of being the king of these people?
Right, just to speak about the Bulelani for a bit there before we can go any far, because from the last interview there were people that were asking questions that is he the rightful heir? Has he got any siblings or any brothers because some raise concerns that he is never seen with any of his siblings, the ones that should be the inner spokesman for him as siblings.
He's got a brother there as a sibling and the likes there, and yes, ideally he should be seen around with them and some other ones who are closer within the inner circle. But we have not chosen to take that route, because what we have here is something incredibly unusual. We have plucked a young man from the Cape, brought him hundreds of miles, crossed the Limpopo, into Mthwakazi. The history of Zimbabwe is quite complex, everything is there. So we've taken it on purpose, like other royal houses do, whether you look to the Emperor in Japan or the House of Windsor here and the likes. They are a circle of individuals that encircle a monarchy to guide and advise and to show. We are putting him in school for this job role. He's learning as he goes, a semi-apprentice, if you would. So we're doing it on purpose because it is a huge amount to do. Yes, in time, the other siblings will get closer. In time, the other households in the royal house will come on stream. But for the time being, there's a necessity to ground His Majesty with the responsibility that we're giving him, so that he does not make mistakes, does not make erroneous mistakes in his rulership. So
Right. Just to go back to the question that you've pointed now that he's got siblings. The question of what was raised that what was it that was actually done to surely appoint him that he is surely the rightful heir?
what we did, obviously, like I said last time, we followed the family tree. And also by following that family tree, there are some customs and norms that we follow when we're doing that for the crown. So if I can run through them for you quickly in a particular way. We'll start from his ancestors, Umashobane, right at the top there, Umzilikazi, coming through there. He left KwaZulu there, not a king, not a monarch. He left there as a high-ranking general of Shaka Zulu's army. En route from KwaZulu there, it was the Amangwe clan who said, we will make you a king, Mzilikazi. That is why when you look at his praise names there, you'll hear lines like Emkhulu, Emkhulu, Wabekwa, Namangwe. The Ndwenis are the part of the Amangwe clan. We are his uncles, we raised him up as the monarchy. So Mzilikazi has come a long way through there. He's reigned, he does everything there, he passes away. Now, when Mzilikazi passed away there was obviously the issue of saying who succeeds him. Others were saying, well, no, hold on a sec, here is Nkulumane. Nkulumane is the rightful heir for that whole thing. But Nkulumane had been sent away by his father because they had made him a king whilst he was still alive. That is why Mzilikazi said, there is no way one sun can rise when another sun has not set. And Nkulumane was sent back to southern Africa. And many people thought he was sent to KwaZulu-Natal there, but no, he ended up in Rustenburg, within the Bafokeng kingdom there. That is where he passed away. So that set him aside. Hence comes Lobengula. Lobengula comes in as the next monarchy after Mzilikazi. Lobengula is coming in from his ancestry is from a small house that comes from Swaziland. His mother, Bulelani, is from that time there. There were issues with that. Some of the people even said, no, he's from a small house, he cannot be there. Hence the fighting that Lobengula had. Because a lot of people were saying he is from the small house which we do not fully celebrate. There are bigger houses there. So that's how Lobengula came along. Now, when Lobengula passed away, this is the crux of the issue now. 1893. 1893, the dreadful time for our people. We had just finished the Gadat confrontation. Lobengula's crack regiment in Bizo had fallen. It had fallen not because it did not have capability or it was not able to engage the mercenaries there. No. It fell because of the fighting in the royal family. That very same fighting I was alluding to earlier on, that some people were saying Bulelani, Lobengula's mother, is from a small house. Others were saying we may find a different other name. So amongst that fighting in the royal house, Lobengula had said, Njana Khumalo, you are the leader of the Mbizo regiment. Go out and engage those mercenaries. But Njana, do not engage them from afar. These people are using firearms. They'll shoot you from afar. So you need to get close to them. And then the Mbizo regiment should come up. Khumalo was angry with it. Mchana Khumalo was angry with that there. He said, who is this Lobengula to tell me this? I command Mbizo regiment. I'll raise it up from well far away, and by tea time we'll be done with his mercenaries. And so he proceeded to do that. And as the Mbizo regiment stood up from afar, obviously they were cut down, and they were cut down, and they were cut down. And that is how the empire crumbled up there. So when Lobengula passes away, we now have a situation. Who is the rightful heir? Peter Zwide Khumalo says, no, the rightful heir should be Nyamanda. Now, when we looked at the situation and when the Khumalos looked at it, they said, no, Nyamanda does not qualify for that, because Nyamanda was born when Lobengula was a young man. Anyone who's born when a monarch is a young man is not included for succession, because he was a young man. In English terms, it's called he was spreading his oaks. It is not clear that really he was the father or the mother was right and the likes there. So those individuals, even though they are Khumalos, they are put aside. So Nyamanda was born before Lobengula became king. So even though he's Lobengula's son and we recognize him as such, he is not in line. And then for particularly the Khumalos, we're now looking at their Njube. Njube was there. And for the Khumalos there, it is not naturally the elder son that takes over as a monarch. What the Khumalos have done from Mashobane, they have taken the view to say that in the royal house, the elder son should be in charge of the house and the whole edifice that is the monarchy. And then the one that follows him should be the monarchy coming up. For the reason that there needs to be someone in the royal house who can sit the monarch down. When the monarch comes in to become a king, they take away his assegai, they take away his shield, they take away his nopkerindu yake, and they give him a staff so that he's now leading a nation. The reason for that is so that should anyone annoy the king should not be seen as a murderer, that he killed that person, that he did someone there. And there needs to be someone in charge who can tell the king that. Hence, what the Khumalos have done for generations now is they've said the oldest son is the one who takes that forte, is the one who looks after the ancestral spirits, looks after all those part of those things there. That is how Njube's line came through. But with Njube, it's even more so. We have historical evidence. We have court documents at Trade Gold, we have court documents in Southern Africa, we have all these documents that are identifying that even at that time, in the 1890s, the whites recognized that Njube was the direct heir. The chiefs recognized that Njube was the direct heir. Njube was taken from Gwablawa and sent all the way down to Cape Town, Grahamstown to get educated. Rose wanted him out of the way because he knew that so long as Njube remains there, an uprising was going to be imminent, was always going to come. So all of these things come into that arena to say why it was Njube. And I think that is where the difficulty was coming when people were saying it should be this, it should be that, it should be that, it should be that. It was because of that particular issue. But once we accept that issue, and really I've not come across anything at all that gives me doubt that this is not Njube, we then follow the straight line from Njube, and then his son, Rhodes, and then Rhodes' son, Patrick, then Patrick's son, Humphrey, and then Humphrey to Bulelani. So the line is linear, father, son, father, son, father, son, father, son, following those principles.
Right. So as far as it's been said that there's also Albert's house.
Albert's house was on the same line as Njube. So on that line straight after Lobengula, you have Nyamanda, who's being advanced by Peter Zwide Khumalo. We pushed him to the side. custom and traditions ejects him. We have Albert. He was also there during the time of Njube's sibling. He's older than Njube. The Khumalo clan's traditions and customs push him aside because he's older, and his job role is to look after the whole clan, the whole Khumalo clan there. So by that virtue alone, he cannot be the heir apparent. Once again, leaving one individual and one individual only, Njube. I know sometimes people get emotional, people are pushing this and that, but custom, tradition and practice and all those things are incredibly clear, and they show the line and the path of how things should go.
Right, I think that also clears the concerns that were raised and the questions that were asked by the people. Now, I will now move on forward and talk about the government as to how accommodating is it, and amending the constitution to accommodate the crown, the monarch.
Yes, it is a vexed situation. It is a vexed question. The government has issues. And it is only really the government that has issues with this. I think all commentators don't have an issue with this. It is only the government. I think maybe they don't fully understand what it is that we're bringing here. The first part, as I said to earlier on, does not require and did not require government consent or authority. I'm not saying it in a brash, arrogant way. I'm saying it as a matter of fact. A matter of historical fact, a matter of custom and tradition fact, that I, if you like to say Mr. Ndiweni, coming from Bulawayo, have a right to want to have a monarchy. Just like Mr. Dube walking down the road has that same right. Now, we've completed that first phase. The second phase now is about engaging the government to say whereabouts do they place the monarchy that we brought in. It is not, ladies and gentlemen, about saying or going to the government, can we please have a monarchy? That is not the discussion. That discussion is done, it is finished. It is now a historical fact that on the 28th of September at 6:15 in the evening, Mashowana woke up. Now the conversation before us and the government is to say whereabouts in the constitution do you place our king? We will begin those negotiations when it is, shall we say, reasonable to begin those negotiations with the government. But I'm confident that in the fullness of time, the government will realize that it is not a bad thing to have a monarchy for these people in Zimbabwe, if they think logically about it and they do not get mixed up in it. The issue, I think, really that comes in is that sometimes people adopt a position of rejecting something when they don't really understand it. Regrettably, that is what we found from the government up until now. We have been engaging the government all along. We've never hidden anything. We've been very open to say this is what we'll be doing and this is the way we're going. Open in the sense of not asking for permission, but open in the sense of simply informing them that we're doing this. So it is hopeful, it is hoped that they'll give that accommodation. If they procrastinate with those discussions, they could take years, they could take decades to try and put it within the constitution. But we're not really waiting for that. For us, we are now in the process of whereby we've got the monarchy. We're now trying to put together the modalities of how our monarchy will operate, how we'll do the things that we need to be done within our area, and we'll proceed in that particular way.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Craig Ngube. I am with Chief Khayisa Ndiweni. We are talking, he's updating us on the inauguration of the dead king of the Ndebele or Mthwakazi, King Bulelani Khumalo. We'll be right back after the break. Cool.